The audit identified significant overpayments to various consultants and works contractor, exceeding the original contractual amounts by substantial percentages. To mention, Palace Architects, they received 170% increase from the original amount. Makeka Design Lab, referred to as MDL, received 36% increase from the originally contracted amount. Letola Cost Associates, who was the quantity surveyor there, received 2,994% increase. 2,000. And Oracle, who were civil and structural engineers, received 840% increase from the contracted amount. Dialect, they were the electrical and mechanical consultants. They received 225% increase from the contracted amount. Works contractor, the main contractor, which is LSP Construction Pty Ltd, received 225% increase. And these specific overpayments were identified due to errors in applying tariff guidelines and variations claimed by the quantity surveyor. And overpayments resulting also from measurement errors and unexecuted works by the works contractor were identified. Like I mentioned, the works contractor was LSP. So we are saying the overpayment of 160% was as a result of unexecuted works. That is the overpayments which total the 74 million that I talked to. Here we have recommended that the Chief Accounting Officer, who is the PS, should always follow the contractual and procurement requirements before paying beyond the signed contractual amounts. And in addition, the Chief Accounting Officer should recover the overpayments that I have just talked to. That is for all the consultants and the works contractor. Another key observation was non-compliance with specifications and drawings. The audit conducted a physical inspection of the works and compared them against approved specifications and drawings. And we have in the main report a table which has detailed a number of instances of observed defects and omissions, as well as non-conformance of executed works to specifications. Here we are saying if the standards required a certain dimension, some of them were the measurements, like even the windows or even the walls to certain measurements, we found that they were not to that standard. Examples of this non-conformance include the type and dimensions of timber used in the roof space at the pergola, the thickness of gravel on the roof, dimensions of shop fronts and doors, and specifications of bathroom fixtures and braai areas. And we have also included in the report the pictorial evidence, which further illustrates some observable defects such as defective sockets and misaligned door locks mechanisms. Another observation was inadequate environmental, health and safety management. The report observed inappropriate environmental and health safety on the site. The key finding being absence of evidence of an environmental management plan. There was an outdated environmental plan which could not be used because it was deemed unhelpful in identifying relevant impacts by the National Environment Secretariat, which is responsible for assessing the environmental impact there. To this effect, we are saying failure to identify the potential impact on the environment in time will lead to inability to focus on mitigation measures during construction, which can expose the contractors and other people to health hazards. Another main finding is use of foreign laws and standards in the contracts. The audit found that contracts with both the Palace Architect and Makeka Design Lab stipulated the use of laws of the Republic of South Africa instead of the government of Lesotho standard conditions of contracts. This included the use of South African tariff guidelines for calculating professional fees and reliance on South African architectural and building guidelines. You will understand that the professional fees, if they are calculated according to South African guidelines, that means they are already overstated because the fees and the standard of living in Lesotho and across the border are significantly different. Using the laws, foreign laws in our country means should there be any contractual violations, then the courts of laws that will be used will be the foreign courts. So the government of Lesotho will not be able to sue in country. They will have to go approach the courts in South Africa. And mind you, this is a project of the national project. Recommendation here is that the Chief Accounting Officer should ensure that the government of Lesotho standard conditions of contract are adopted for all public funded projects. Another violation, a significant one, was lack of copyright and ownership of project documentation. We found that the client or architect agreement with Makeka Design Lab, which adopted South African private sector form of agreement, granted copyright and intellectual property ownership of the project documents to the architect, not the government of Lesotho. This restricts the government's use of project documentation, particularly upon termination of the consultant's services. As we know, some of them have already expired and they are nowhere to be found now. And now with these rights and copyright ownership belonging to the architects, it means salvaging whatever works here, we have no documents as the government of Lesotho. We'll have to pay or go to the courts to retrieve those documents from those architects. This is the impact there. We have noted also delays in payments that were done due to lack of proper project management, which led to interest charges, huge interest charges that were subsequently paid to the contractor and the consultants. This was as a result of the Works Ministry and BDS being the project manager not adhering to the contractual agreements. You'll understand that the contract will stipulate the timelines that you have to bill and also pay based on the work that has been done. So we have noted that works will be done and certificates will be issued, but then certification by BDS for payment will take more than what was agreed. And that led to huge or significant amount that our government had to pay. We have identified overpayments from unexecuted works amounting to 3,321,000. The overpayments for incorrect measurements, we noted 5,978,000 that was paid to consultants. And also a financial loss due to irregular appointment of Makeka Design Lab of 3,683,000. The recommendations overall primarily directed to the PS or Chief Accounting Officer in the Ministry of Works. One, to recover the overpaid amounts to consultants and works contractor, like I mentioned. 2, to always follow contractual and procurement requirements before paying anything beyond the signed contractual amount. Ensuring that emergency procurements follow the procurement regulations. And ensure that the contracts executed are signed by all parties before implementation. That is, we had noted as well that some of the main contracts, works started before even the contracts were signed. And also to ensure that the government of Lesotho standard conditions of contract are adopted for all public funded projects. Last but not least, to ensure that environmental management plans are approved, highlighting any potential impacts for monitoring during implementation, because this could result in adverse impact on the environment. We have natural resources which, as we are constructing, they might be affected adversely. In conclusion, we noted that the report actually paints a picture of significant mismanagement and lack of adherence to established regulations in the construction of the new royal palace. That is, there were substantial overpayments, procurement irregularities, deviations from specifications, raising serious concerns about accountability and optimal use of public resources. Critical consideration at the point of completion of the audit is that the former works or principal agent approached the Office of the Auditor General. Please pay attention to this one critically. We are saying, as we concluded the audit, we were approached by the former principal agent who was dismissed on the project. And he was in possession of critical and original project information and keys to the new royal palace. And during our audit there were a number of doors that were closed, and we had to, some emergency access was done, some windows were removed so that we can access. In our inquest to understand where are the keys for the doors, works did not mention exactly what was happening there or where the keys were. But as we were concluding the audit, the office was approached by the principal agent who came to us and actually had possession of those keys and the original contract documents and the bills of quantities, which the Office of the Auditor General took possession of, and we are proposing to have a second phase of the audit so that we now investigate on the information that has been provided, and also those keys will go back to the construction site and inspect again with that former project principal agent. Our interview with the former principal agent that I'm talking about has highlighted significant deviations during the inception of the project. And allegedly, he was dismissed, or the company was dismissed upon raising queries about how the project inception was being conducted. So we are really looking forward to do the second phase of this report, and we'll come back and report accordingly as to what impact that has on the report that we have just issued now.